Hello there, fearfully and wonderfully made human. I'm your host, Diana, licensed mental health counselor, certified integrative mental health professional, founder of Through the Valley Therapy, and Transform Mind Consulting and Coaching. Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Counselor Podcast, where I try my best to intersect faith, science, and whole person healing to meet in the messy middle of real life. If you've ever asked yourself, why am I like this? Emotionally, physically, even spiritually, this episode is for you. Because the truth is, not everything we carry started with us. Pain can echo through bloodlines. Roles get assigned before we're even born. And sometimes what feels like a personal failure is actually an inherited wound looking for a witness. At the United Way of Broward's 10th annual South Florida Behavioral Health Conference, I stepped into a workshop. I thought that would be another lecture. And instead, I experienced something I can only describe as sacred, embodied truth. It was led by today's guest. And I knew before it ended, this conversation needs to happen. So today, I'm honored to welcome John Acosta, the founder of ZuluOne, a family constellation facilitator trained in Romania, a U.S. Air Force veteran. Thank you, John, for your service. A husband, a father, and someone whose storytelling cracks systems open wide. John doesn't just talk about healing, he lives it. He works with individuals, families, and communities to help uncover the unseen dynamics that shape how we show up in the world. And whether you come from faith, science, or somewhere in between, I think you'll find something in this episode that speaks to your soul. John, it's an honor to have you on the show.
Diana, thank you so much for having me. I was very excited to see your email presenting the invitation, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, so like always, I like to start with my guest story. And I was just, I mean, like I didn't know I was getting myself into when I signed up for, because there was a lot of different workshops to sign up for.
Yeah.
And I am a woman of faith, and I pray about every tiny thing I do. Well, almost every tiny thing I do. And it's just something I had to learn to do to be able to function in the world for what I do, and also the healing I had to do with my own family lineage, right? So I was
Mm.
so curious. I'm like, all right, what's this guy about? And I walked in there and I'm like, all right, cool. All right. And I thought it was just another lecture. I had my notebook and everything, but it was so hands on. And what I loved about it too is I took a photo from my angle, and I don't know if you got to see the photo, and if you didn't, I'm going to send it to you afterwards. And in the photo, it was us lined up,
Okay.
and as we lined up, I just noticed the beautiful, I don't know how to describe it, the differences, but the togetherness of
Mm.
the people that you had us line up. Like, and it was like from the police officer in his uniform, and can I just say it was all the way from vanilla to dark chocolate, like,
Yeah.
and but the powerfulness, male, it was everybody, honestly, because we're in Broward County, so we have everybody of all. I love living here, and at the same time, it's overwhelming, but. Anyway, so let's start with you because I'm like ZuluOne. How is this with that, and what does this mean? And can you just go and tell us who you are and why and what's up?
Yeah. So, what, Diana, great observation, right? And the only way that I can describe this work is being in the presence of grace. That's
Mm,
that's it, right? It's being in the presence of something that is way bigger than us. And it's
yeah.
undeniable when we allow ourselves to get out of the way and let grace really take over, right? At the end of the day, that's what you call it, the Holy Ghost, however people interpret that, that's my interpretation of it. But I think that's what we're in the presence of. And, I don't really have an option in this work. It's a calling for me. It's like, God in some way said, "Hey man, you're going to do something. It's not going to make sense, but trust me. And I'm like, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, God, I've been trying to do it my way for a long time, and that obviously doesn't work. And so I surrender, right? Like, through a massive amount of personal work and working on my S, right, on my crap, is where I arrived to this place. And I think that being of service is the highest calling that you can have, and it's
Yeah.
it's fulfilling. And the God really conspires in your favor when you're listening, right? And
Yeah.
all things are removed. And that's I don't know how else to do it, but I'm here, I'm at service, and I've been called into some very odd spaces that I don't necessarily belong to, but I've just been received with grace and with kindness, and just open doors, because it's not me. It has nothing to do with me. It's,
Right.
it literally has nothing to do with me, which is the coolest part about it,
Right.
that I can just be at service and see what happens. So that's what's brought me here. Yeah.
Wow. And so why Zulu One? What's that mean?
So Bert Hellinger was the founder of Family Constellations, was a Catholic priest, a Catholic missionary priest,
Wow.
and he was assigned to South Africa and to do mission work, right, with the tribes of South Africa, and particularly with the Zulu tribe.
Oh,
And some of the traditions that the Zulu tribe had really permeated his way of thinking, right? Of like understanding the order in family systems and how things are passed down from generation to generation. And if they're not dealt with, if they're not healed, they keep going, right? And
mm.
that there's a magic and there's a connection in all family systems. And so as Bert kind of went back to Germany, and he left the priesthood to become a psychologist,
Oh,
and
wow.
then developed this work called Family Constellations, right?
Okay.
And so it's the ZuluOne name comes from honoring the ancestry of the work, right? The lineage of the work that comes from these indigenous tribes in South Africa, and then one that we are connected. We all are one, connected or created to the one creator, the Alpha and the Omega of who we are. So that's where the name comes from, really.
Wow, I
Yeah.
love that. Okay. And so how does that connect to, because usually when I have guests on and they're in the field of psychology or helping or whatever, it's usually due to their own personal story. And I don't know if you want to share that or not. I know
Love to.
you touched on it a little bit in the workshop, so I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe he'll share. So
Yeah, I'd
maybe
love to.
yeah, let's go
Yeah.
there.
So the story goes back to, so my mother is a retired U.S. diplomat
Wow.
and was stationed in Romania at the time. And this story sounds made up, but it is the story, right?
Hmm.
But she had a boyfriend at the time that was killed in a car accident, and his daughter was at a mission trip in Africa, someplace. I think it's either Zambia or Zimbabwe. I can't recall, but was killed in a head-on collision. He was on the way to a dentist because he had some tooth pain, and was they drove on the other side of the road.
Yeah,
Like the British way of driving,
right.
and head-on collision killed him instantly. And my mom went to her psychologist at the time, her therapist, and said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to deal with this pain."
Yeah.
And he said, there's this man, his name is Alberto Iturbe, doing this constellation workshop. It deals with trauma.
Mm.
And it was 55 Romanian psychologists, oh, sorry, 35 Romanian psychologists and psychiatrists that were learning this modality
Wow.
from Alberto. He's a nutritionist. He's a doctor by training, and that had been one of Bert Hellinger's original students, and they were exposed to this incredible modality. And if you know anything about Romanian culture or history,
Mhm.
a country that has many, 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 many decades of deep, deep, deep seated wounds, right? From
Yeah.
communism and from Russian-Romanian War, from some of the policies that happened during communism, very, very difficult, very, very heavy, right?
Hmm.
And so she comes to this thing, she does this incredible work, and then comes back and tells my sister about it. My sister does it the next year. I have a younger sister that's part of the ZuluOne organization. My mom, my sister, and I are all, this is a family affair, right?
Okay.
Work. And so my sister does it the next year, and then I do it the third time they go around.
Okay.
And she says, I'm this punk kid in the military. I'm in a band. I have like, I'm a punk kid, right? So I'm 25. I think I'm 25, 26 years old. And I have what some consider a lot of trauma from my childhood, from circumstantially, my parents got divorced. It was traumatic. Some things happened. I grew up in Venezuela.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they overthrew the government a couple times while I
Are
was
you
there.
Latin? Are you a Latin man?
Yes, I'm a Latin man.
¿Tú
So my
hablas
mom's from,
español?
yo hablo español, soy
Oh my
fluente.
gosh.
Yeah. So my
I
mom's
love
from Michigan and my dad's from Venezuela.
Oh,
And I grew up in a household that spoke English at home, but Spanish everywhere else, right?
right,
So that's
right.
why I sound and I look like this. Um,
That's awesome though.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot there, and I can go into that story if you'd like, but for time purposes, I
Mhm.
won't. But my mom's, tells this punk kid like, hey, she's like, I'll buy your ticket to Romania as a birthday gift, and I'm like, I'm gonna backpack through Spain, and I'm like, and she told me about it, and I'm like, you guys are in a cult. This is crazy. This makes no sense. Like very,
Yes.
what a
Very
26, 25,
25. Yeah, your
20,
brain's
20.
not
Yeah,
fully developed yet.
exactly, exactly.
And yeah.
Yeah,
You're hot
exactly.
stuff. You play
Yeah,
an
I'm
instrument, I'm
exactly.
sure.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I thought I was cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear
And so she's like, come to this thing, and they were telling me about it. I'm like, you guys are crazy. I thought it was neuro linguistic programming, or the guys that, when the guys that have people quack like a duck or talk like a Martian on stage, and
you.
like they're kind
Yes.
of comedians, and
Hypnosis
yes,
and
exactly.
behavioral. Yes, yes.
Yes. I thought it was that. And I was like, this is weird. This makes no sense. I'm gonna figure out how you guys are charlatans, and like how you
Mm,
filled out the questionnaire,
mhm.
that's gonna trigger the conversations, maybe like some of the charismatic, people out there, right? It's like, there's something here.
Yeah, they're sniffing out Facebook and everything
Yes. Yeah,
of the person,
exactly.
and then they're
Exactly.
calling that person up, and the person's like, "Oh
Exactly.
my gosh!" Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
ooh,
So I thought it was that. And then
okay,
I get there and it's this we're in Transylvania, right? So in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania.
okay,
And it's this massive ballroom and there's 55 Romanian psychologists and psychiatrists. My mom, my sister and I, and then Alberto and his two sons that are our age, right? They're my sister's age and my age. So it was like, okay, the only kids that are around are these guys and they're with this weirdo, right? For lack of a better term at the time. So what's going on here? So I'm like kind of thinking about it and looking at it. And then he is speaking in Spanish, translating into Romanian. So none of the psychologists and psychiatrists, Romanians spoke English or
okay,
Spanish for
yeah,
the matter, right?
right.
So he's translating from Spanish into Romanian, and we're doing the work. And I'm, so traditionally how a family, are you familiar with family constellations and how they work?
I'm I'm familiar of because of the class I took with genograms and the
Okay.
psychology part of my licensing and
Okay.
everything, but I
Okay.
never, because you could deep dive in so many ways, and I
Makes
just
sense.
CBT is like my thing, and internal
Yeah.
family systems I'm learning now, and so to me, like, yeah, I kind of do with the genogram that I had to do
Yeah.
for a project, but other than that, that's about it.
So very in the phenomenological psychodrama of Virginia Satir's track,
Hmm.
the mother really of psychodrama, and very in IFS world, right? But what you do is through a phenomenological process, you pick people to represent the internal dynamics that you have in your family system. And it's very much a circle like an AA meeting or an Al
Okay.
Anon meeting or, what, like those. And then a client sits and then there's the facilitator and they say a phrase like, what would you like to work on today? And they may
Mhm.
say something like, I'd like to work on this anger that I feel towards my brother. Right.
Mm.
Let's say that's something that I'm very angry at my brother. I don't know why, but I can't, or my brother hates me. Right. And I don't know why. For family peace, I want to figure out.
Mhm.
So the most people that have not done constellations, you bring up their family of origin, right?
Yeah.
So mom, so you go around the circle and you say, will you please represent my mother Cindy, right? My mom's name is Cindy. Will you please represent my father, Juan? That's my dad's
Okay.
name, right? Will you
Okay.
please represent my sister, Alicia? And then I
Hmm.
place them in the circle how I
Is these you're using people that you don't know?
that you don't know. You don't know
Kind
that
of like
they
what you sort of tiny bit did with us in a way. Like you,
correct. Very
okay.
similar. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So you
Yes.
place people that you've never met before,
Hmm.
right, as representatives of
Hmm.
people in your family system, right? Your family of
Okay.
origin.
Wow.
There might have been a pregnancy. So one of the big questions is, was there any other pregnancies that your parents had?
Outside of like
Uh,
wedlock or outside of that
no, or
relationship?
maybe a loss,
Oh,
a lost
okay.
pregnancy. There,
Hmm.
somebody, a baby died, all of
Yeah.
those positions have their place in the family system, right? So,
Wow.
in my case, there was a pregnancy that was before me. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest born, but I have a pregnancy that was before me, right? So I have an older sibling. That sibling has a place in the family system,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
I pick a representative for that
Wow.
pregnancy, and then myself, and then my sister. That's my family of origin, as we would call it.
Okay.
And then that I sit down, right, and literally they take a deep breath, and without talking, and through a phenomenological process, they uncover or bring to surface hidden dynamics in the family system. So, my case, when I was doing family constellations, my mom, these are people that don't know, I don't speak the same language. They have, unless this is an all elaborate 17-year ploy to take my $250 that that this thing cost, right? They assembled in a way that my mom was in front of us, my sister and I are like super tight, and my father was at a distance looking at us, like trying to get around her
Mm.
from a positional standpoint, right?
Hmm.
From his perspective, he's like, and so the facilitator gets up, he's like, what are you feeling? And he's like, they don't know who they're representing, right? It's like
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't know what the dynamic, they don't know what the story is, they don't know anything. He said,
Right.
I'm trying to get to them, but she's in the way. A phrase like that. And he's like, okay, how are you feeling? And then the facilitator will go to the person representing my mother. It's like, how are you feeling? It's like, I want him far away. I'm protecting them.
Okay.
And then my sister and I was like, how are you guys feeling? It's like, I don't feel, I'm just looking at the ground, or I'm disconnected or detached. And she's like, I want him to look at me. So that for me, in
Mhm.
my case, represented exactly my family dynamic.
Wow.
So my father left, and when I was my father stepped out of the story. My mom we went into like survival mode. All three of us came into emergency, and there was no space for anybody else in those relationships, right? We went into survival mode, too close. And then there was a lot of conflict between us, not
Yeah.
massive conflict, but there were
Right.
arguments and tension and
Yeah.
things.
And
And
it,
I
and it was
was,
three of you, like three of you as a child, right?
yeah. So the three of us connected, right? Like in,
Right.
in a
So,
defense posture.
right, like codependency.
Exactly.
Okay.
Codependency, like
Right.
as you
And
would
then
call that, codependency. Yes.
yeah, and there might have been like triangulation sometimes.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, all right.
And so through a series of phrases that you say and
Mm-hmm.
give back guilt or give back items that don't belong to you, you restructure the family into a place that gives space, breathability, and give back what's not yours. And for me, that
Yeah.
was extraordinarily cathartic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I get to a place where I'm in the position of I was in a partnership position with my mother, as one would call emotional incest. My sister, I was the man of the family, that very
Yeah.
Hispanic, like, oh,
Oh
you're the man
no.
now.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Or if like
Yes.
someone passes, or if there
Yes.
is no daddy in the picture, it's
Yes.
like either the mom has to be both the man and the father,
Exactly.
or the son ends up with that burden.
Exactly. And so
Wow.
what that created in my life is that
Mhm.
I didn't have a space for a spouse or a partner, right? Because I was in this emotional partnership with
Yeah.
my mom.
Hmm.
And so and then in every relationship that I had, which the relationship that I had before, I was looking for my mother rather than looking for a partner, right?
Yeah.
It's because I was already in a partnership. So I was already entangled in my family system,
Yes.
and I suffered the consequences of what those were, right? And
Mm.
as the facilitator reorganized the family system, brought my father in, I said some phrases to my father, brought my mother in, I said some phrases to my mother, put me in the position of the child, no longer the partner of that triangulation, the emergency support system. and get back into that place, I could connect to my lineage, right? So I could
Mm,
connect to my mother being on behind my left shoulder, my father being behind my right, fully supported by both of them, regardless of the story, regardless of judgment. Because a lot of the pain that comes in family systems comes from judging our parents, right? Or judging other people, because that
yeah.
says, I am better than you. And therefore I'm superior than you. Therefore I can repeat that same pattern because we
Mm,
become what we reject,
mm. Say that
right?
again.
We become what we reject.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
so, as we reject that, like I was judging my father because he left and he stepped out of the marriage and all this stuff,
I have a
rather than coming
question,
from a place of
John.
understanding.
Yeah, and so, well, to me though, what it sounds like, especially that how you described yourself at 25, right? You must have, picked up all these narratives and stories, right, of your own pain that went into the subconscious. And then, what you said, we become what we reject. And the thing is, you're like, I will never be like my dad. So you ended up becoming like so much harsher or something like that, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm hearing
Hmm.
is like I became this punk kid. I became, and that's usually the case because I worked with adolescents for
Yeah.
decades before I only work with adults now. But
Yeah.
and honestly, I got to tell you why, John. I stopped working with adolescents because the adults did not want to do anything about their own intergenerational trauma. They just wanted me to fix the kid.
That makes all the sense in the world. Yeah.
And I just felt like I was like I was doing the work and some of the kids got, you know, better or tools or whatever because they have to like everybody in therapy has to do their own work. It's not like we're miracle made like people come
Yeah.
in, I'm coming to
Hmm.
therapy and they're just, thinking that there's like an easy thing and
Yeah.
it's hard work going through the situation because you have to face it. You have to
Yeah.
take it from the subconscious into the conscious and
Yeah.
look at it,
Hmm.
take it out of the brain and actually choose, because it's choices, to
Yes.
either do the work with it and figure out how to learn from it,
Hmm.
no matter how painful, or just continue the pattern.
Correct. And one of the toughest things about constellations, and it's no different than any other modality, right,
Okay.
is that the person always has a choice. And they
Yeah.
can say, I could have, when the facilitator came and said, this is your dynamic, and they said, would you like to do a movement? I could have
Mm.
said, nope, I'm
Mhm.
good. I'm so loyal to my family system and to the pain and to the story and to the narrative and to the judgment that I'm going to keep it here. I could have
Wow.
said that.
Yeah.
I had all the ample opportunity. I had all the agency in the world to do that, to say, nope, I'm leaving this here. It's too hard. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it.
Hmm.
So there is a huge choice factor. And I'm glad you brought that up because at some point I could have said, nope, I want to keep this here. And some people aren't ready to make that
That's
choice.
it.
So
That's
you
it.
just literally present the information and be like,
Yeah.
this is what the path looks like. It's your choice at the end of the day. And as facilitators, we have to have so much integrity to the process to respect people's choices, even if that means that they will continue the pain at all costs.
And sometimes people make the choice with because of fear,
Yeah.
fear of change.
Hmm.
Sometimes their system, I hate to say addicted to that kind of pattern. That's all it knows. And it's not even fear. It's just like, this is it. This is
Yeah.
how it is. There's so many reasons why biologically and psychologically we stay in these kinds of patterns and systems. Um,
Yeah.
what, I mean, you said this helped you, and then something shifted where you ended up going, okay, I want to do this now. This is my
Yeah.
calling now. Like, what else did you see? What other tools were given to you? Because to me, what's really important for this podcast is for the listener to truly understand the healing process with new theories and modalities and everything. But to me, because I am a believer in Jesus, right? And I'm also trying to break the stigma in churches and in my mind in family systems of in the BIPOC community and in
Yep.
minorities and stuff like that. So because a lot of people be like, oh, this is new age or this is woo woo or this is BS or you see the judgments.
Yep.
Okay, the
Yep. Yep. Yep.
judgments. I just want to make sure that the listener understands like maybe practical tips, like maybe we could go into what you did in the workshop because we were there for how long? Like 90 minutes?
Yeah,
You
about an
did,
hour.
yeah. And
Hmm.
within an hour, you actually did two things.
Exercises. Yeah.
Yeah, exercise things.
Yeah.
And and in those two exercises, that's what really blew me away at the end. Like I
Yeah.
was just like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And I've seen things like that too. And I am a personality that is open. Like I'm an open person. Like that's because I've learned that's how healing is. Like you have to be the more flexible you are in your mind, the more flexible you
Mm,
are in your body,
yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so the more narrow you are, the more you're holding in that that pressure that hurts you. Like people don't understand. Like sometimes that backache, that headache, that neck ache, you want that aspirin, you want the massage, whatever. But some people don't understand that we're that holistic being, and it could be due to the narrow-minded judgment, fear zone that many, many, many
Yeah.
live in. So that first exercise, do you remember what you did? Can you
Yeah.
explain to the audience a
The
little bit?
so could I answer a couple of those questions
Yes,
kind of in
go
rapid
for it.
succession?
Please, please.
So the first thing, a little bit about my background, right? I was raised in I went to an all boys Catholic school, right? So I went to an all
Oh my God.
boys Opus
Well,
Dei,
all the
like
way like to
all the
senior
way until
year?
I graduated from high school, like Opus Dei. So I would consider myself a super Christian, right? So very Catholic school. And then on the weekends, my
Mm.
mom's a non-denominational. My mom's side of family is Episcopalian, right? So
Oh, wow. That's
Episcopalian
two
side, right?
opposites.
Two huge opposites, but all meet in the middle in a kind of an odd way. And then on Sundays, we would go to non-denominational church, right?
Yeah.
Like rock Christian fun church. Like that was
Mm.
like, this is awesome compared to Catholic church, right? I was like,
Yeah.
we're singing songs and we're raising our
And
hands
you
and
can wear whatever you
you
want. You
can
don't
wear
have to go
whatever
up
you
and down, up
want.
and down. I was raised
Yeah.
Catholic, so I was
Okay.
Catholic all the way until and honestly, I still like Catholicism. I still there's parts of it that I love and
Yeah.
miss.
Hmm.
Honestly.
Same here. Yeah.
So
Same here.
anyway, yeah, keep going
And
because this I'm like
so,
Catholic
um,
school.
and during that time, I
Mhm.
was, and I was saved. I chose Jesus Christ. I was saved by Christ, and I made that decision as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old at
Wow.
Christian camp. Like I went and I gave my life to Christ. And through my military, because I was so angry, I stepped away from my beliefs, right?
Yeah.
I was a what would you consider agnostic,
Mm-hmm.
atheistic at that time.
Yeah. You were
Um,
deconstructing.
I was deconstructing, right? I was so angry. I was so angry at everything. I was
Yeah.
so mad. I was mad literally at everything.
Yeah.
And that what this work brought me full circle and through my healing is brought me full circle back to God, right? And that's I
Hmm.
think that's a really important narrative of and the story. And I'm just like, I'm not in charge. Like I'm not in charge at all. I'm
Right.
here to be at service. And the more I resist, the more
Yeah.
it's like God's like, hey man, that's not gonna happen. So
Right.
it's my way. And I'm like, this is amazing. And now that I'm aligned and I've found that alignment through healing, it's really created this incredible thing that I never and I have so many offshoots that I've been invited to places that I should never be, right? I would never have been if it
Right.
weren't for grace, right?
Hmm.
And so, kind of to talk about a little bit of the constellation side, 6 months later, I met my wife, right?
Oh.
Met my wife. I've been with my wife since 2009.
Oh,
I
wow.
have two
Okay.
children. I have a 12-year-old
I love it.
incredible young man that has recently turned to Christ. And I
Ah,
have a 9-year-old, about to be 9-year-old girl that's in the same path. Like I'm a harmonious life. I'm the CEO of a company. I get to do this work. I get to do this incredible healing modality.
mm.
And not to say that this is the same thing for everybody, but I've gone through traditional therapy. I've done, a lot of different modalities, right? So constellations. For me, when I was picked to be a representative, it broke my brain in some way. It was like, how is this possible? This doesn't make any sense. My logical, technical, I was a jet engine mechanic in the Air Force, right? You can't get more technical. You can't get
Yeah.
much more technical than that. It's like
Right.
righty tighty, lefty loosey. You got to fix the things. If you don't do your job, people die, right?
Yeah.
And this technical minded guy gets into the spiritual, weird kind of woo woo technical, like a therapeutic modality. And I'm like, it broke my brain. And it took me years to be able to figure out the mechanism that it came from. And the only thing that I could today, I have a scientific understanding of it, but the
Good.
only thing that I have from a spiritual understanding is grace, right? That's
Mm.
the framework that I work within, and that deeply resonates with me. That's the framework that
And what do
I
you mean by grace?
the presence of the divine,
Okay.
presence of God.
Mhm.
That's what I mean by grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
did a constellation for a group, and I'll get emotional when I talk about this, but there was these he's the this very famous family, very, like, if I said the name, you'd know who I'm talking about, right?
Okay.
And it was a group of women, and we did it at this Jesuit retreat in the West. And it was this group of women that have been friends for a very long time. And I was doing a constellation, and one of the women had lost her parents when she was really young.
Mhm.
And when we did the movement, how much they supported each other, and how much, like, we said a prayer at the beginning, and oh man, I'll get very emotional, but um, how much care they had for each other, and how much grace they had for each other, and how open they were, and how willing they were to serve each other was just overwhelming. It's difficult for me to still talk about it now, because it
Yeah.
was like, you can't do
Fake
this,
that.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
you
fake
can't
that,
fake
right?
it.
You
No.
can't fake it through this healing modality.
Yeah.
It's almost difficult for me to think about God, because of how much it humbles me,
Mhm.
in front of the immensity of his grace,
That's
so
awe. That's the
yeah,
awe we're
that's the
supposed
awe.
to
Yes,
have,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
That
So
is,
I can't talk about it
yeah.
without
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
almost losing it. Like,
Right.
I'm using every fiber of my body to
And
not
it's
lose it,
okay.
because that's what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so blessed to be in a place where that modality can work through me, right? Like,
Yeah.
in some ways. So
And
I'm so grateful for it. Yeah.
it
Oh,
is. It's
yeah.
humility. It's the
Yeah.
humility. I could see it. I could feel it right now. I
Yeah.
saw it and felt it in your workshop because
Yeah.
it was so like, what just happened? Like,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I could tell that what happened was not because we have so much, and and this is it. I'm about to judge it. And that's where I have to learn to, but it does because I see so much use of the word of spirituality. I don't care if it's New Age or Christianity or whatever other denomination, like high controlling, um, and the grace of God and the love of God is not there. It is
Yeah.
just human beings utilizing
Yeah.
that to for control and power.
The righteousness. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But their righteousness, not the
Yes.
righteousness of God.
Yes. Their righteousness. It's the righteousness of their humanity and their pain. And
Oh,
it's an abdication of God's. It's like a taking over of God's throne. It's I think one of the places where most destructive forces on the planet come from that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are blinded to it. And
Yeah.
now they're getting more and more numb to it. And not
Yeah.
only blinded, but it's also people are seeking truth, but
Yeah.
they're keep looking in the wrong places. Hello, cell
Yeah.
phone, hello,
Yeah.
and to me, it's like we have to understand what you just spoke about. Like what you just spoke about that brought you to an awe of the creator of the universe, of the Alpha and Omega, the
Yeah.
beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you just gave us in 1 hour a teaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I
Can
mean, yeah, go
can
ahead.
I answer back the exercise question,
Oh my
because I
gosh.
love that
Yes.
exercise?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
One of the things, I was invited to. Are you familiar with the Circle of Brotherhood in Miami?
No, that was one of the questions I had for you.
Yeah, so this is full circle, right? So
Okay.
the Circle of Brotherhood, I'm going tonight. It's an organization that I've been involved with for the past 5 years. It's
Hmm.
Black men dealing with their own community problems. That's the tagline,
What?
right? Yeah, yep.
Well,
And
there's only in Miami. We need one right
only my
here.
there's one in Pompano too. There's a chapter in Pompano. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, after this, I need you to hook me up with them because if they're willing to come on this podcast, we need
Yeah,
that. Okay, go
Brother
ahead. Go
Lyle
ahead.
is incredible. The executive director, Brother Lyle.
Okay.
Oh, can't connect you with them. But what ended up happening is that they did a 21-day hunger strike to bring awareness to gun violence in Miami.
How do
21
I
and a
not
half
hear it?
days.
This is what the
Yeah.
media needs to flip and put on the
Yeah.
media.
Exactly.
Stuff like
Exactly.
this,
Yeah.
not the fear porn. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I reached out to Brother Albert, one
Mhm.
of the guys there, and I don't know, I was called to do it. Call it, God conspiring and making this happen, right? And I drove down there and I gave him this book, and since then I've done this work, this modality, Family Constellations with Trayvon Martin's mom, Sabrina Fulton, with a Circle of Brotherhood. We've done several workshops, and one of the workshops that we did was passing back the pain. That it
Yeah.
was
Oh.
a gallon of water,
Uh-huh.
and we were passing back 13 generations, and there was several men, and in the group there's men that have been recently incarcerated or incarcerated for very long periods of time. What they say is that we used to be the problem and now we're the solution. That men that were in the streets, as they would say, them boys, doing the stuff that that cause ruckus, right, are now part of the solution. And it's incredible to see men assume that profound responsibility and agency, and it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever been involved with. But we did that exercise of passing back the pain, which is, in constellations we do traditional constellations, which is that what I was talking about, the client and the facilitator, and then they do the workshop. But
Hmm.
also we do these exercises, and one of the exercises that I love is you put 13 people in a line, you know, front facing, and then like like grade school, right, and that type of
Right.
line. And what they do is that they take I use a medicine ball, an 8-pound medicine ball, or a gallon full of water, and you say, and the first generation says to the second generation, and they're representing generations, right, that carried pain for many years, and they say, "In love, I took it. In love, I give it back. Please bless me if I choose to do it differently." And they give the pain back to
Yeah,
the
you see, look, now
generations.
you're getting me crying,
Yeah,
but I have
yeah,
tissues.
yeah. And it's so powerful that men that have never experienced something like this
Yeah.
were extraordinarily emotional, very, very working through it, right? It's like that's like just being of service and being open is like working through it, because first they're like, wow, what's very typical systemic resistance, as we would call it, right? The judgment, call it systemic resistance,
Or if
judgment.
it's with men, machismo.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So giving back, and then the 13th generation, right, saying, lighting a candle and saying, "With this light, I bless you to do it
Oh
differently,"
yeah.
and then passing it down to the generations and to the youngest member that was there, and just going through that process of healing generational pain and going and giving people the opportunity to give back what's not theirs. Because out of
Yeah,
loyalty to our family system, we carry so much that doesn't belong to us.
that's right.
And this work gives it back. And it gives an understanding and a lens that once you cross that threshold and you start understanding things from a systemic lens, and you say, there's a technology here, I don't, whatever you want to call it, modality, technology, whatever you want to call this thing, where you can give back things that don't belong to you. And out of your family system, you can say, "I give this back. Please bless me if I choose to do it differently."
Hmm.
And you can release
Yeah.
that generational curse, the generational pain, the stuff that doesn't belong to us, the not conforming to the patterns of this world, right? That's what, like, do not conform. Like, hey, do not conform. It's a mandate. It's not, if you thought about it, if you're feeling good about it, you may look at not conforming. Like, no, 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 no. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be
But be
renewed.
transformed, right? By the
But
renewing
be
of your
renewed by,
mind.
yeah, be
Yeah.
transformed by the renewing of your mind. I mean, like, that's such a powerful
Romans 12
statement,
2,
right?
everybody.
Yeah,
Romans
it's
12
Romans
2.
12 too, right? Like, that's such a powerful statement. And I think
Yeah.
that the story of Christ at the end of the day is a story of responsibility, of radical responsibility, of taking on the burdens of the world and sacrificing for that, right?
Yeah.
Not an absolution of responsibility, not an
Right.
abdication of responsibility, a taking on what responsibility really means,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The pain of this world, to take that on for all of us. And what better example of what we're called to do than that? It's just, yeah, like, I don't know. That's what I'm supposed to do, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Whoa.
yeah, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What comes up is John 3:17 instead of John 3:16. Um, yeah, because everybody knows John 3:16.
Yeah.
But he did not come to condemn the world, but to
Yeah.
save it.
Yeah.
And
You
we
know,
all decide to condemn each other, and
yeah.
that's John, man. Like,
Yeah.
so that second exercise is the one I think oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you guys. See, ooh, okay. Yeah, the second exercise, yeah, that one, I'm like, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm like, I need you to come. We need to produce something here in Deerfield Beach. I'm ready. I'll produce it. I'll put it together. You come and do it because I know working with the adolescents in alternative high schools for most of my career, this is what is needed.
Yeah.
Permission
Yeah.
to let it go. And
Yeah.
seeing that the older
Mhm.
generation saying it's okay to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so can we go to the second?
Yeah. So the second exercise was we call it the mirror. So in we'll put two lines of people, and you could do this as long as you have a an even number. You can say this person represents the best version of you, and you're working right. So just connecting with the eyes, taking a deep breath, and connecting with the presence of what the best
With a
version
stranger.
with a complete stranger, right?
That to me
That
was
one's
that
yeah,
blew me away when I looked
yeah,
into her eyes
yeah.
and then go ahead and then you talk through it with
And you
us.
can say something like, you can ask the best version of you a question. You can say, do you have any insight for me? Do you have a message? You can ask those questions, and you can do it with your heart. You can do it with your block. You can do it with your intuition. You can do it with, you can make that whatever comes up. And this work is deeply intuitive. That's why
Mhm.
you just like, God in some way speaks through you, and you're like, what is needed for this moment? And you
Mhm.
literally shut up and let God do the work, right? And say, I think we're gonna do mom. And everybody's like, oh no, like, oh no. And like mom. And then
Right.
it's like, mom, it may be money. It may be, whatever the thing that comes up. And then you switch. And the
Yeah.
the the insights that you gain from connecting from that is extraordinarily
Yeah.
powerful. And there's one that I love doing. There's several exercises that you do. There's one that I love this one, and this one's so powerful is so you put people in groups of three, and
Hmm.
one person is working. And what I mean
Okay.
working is like doing the work.
Yeah.
One person is represents their inner child.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And then one person represents the best version of them. So
wow.
first you
That.
connect with your inner child, you bring your inner child with you, and then you move on to your the best version of you.
Oh,
Like
wow.
like the whole connected you. Or it
Yeah.
may be mom and dad, or it
Hmm.
may be your intuition and your block, because your blocks in some way protect you.
Hmm.
They're there to serve to protect something, right? Or it may be your lineage. It may be your like anything that you have, that you have these really creative ways of putting those things together, and then really creating a cathartic moment
Yeah.
that people can connect
Yes.
with every aspect of who they are.
Yeah. I mean, like, wow. So how can someone either learn about this modality more or actually experience it? Like, are you going around like Florida, around the world, around the country? I mean, how does this work? Because I know people are going to be like, I want to try it or I want to know more about it. I want to make sure it aligns with my faith, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera.
Yeah.
Um, so
So there's a lot of information out there. It's becoming very popular.
okay.
Family Constellation is becoming very popular, from Disney all the way to, so the movie Encanto by Disney. Have
Uh-huh.
you seen that movie?
No.
So there's a movie called Encanto, right? It's
Okay.
about this Colombian family that has a tragedy, and then the whole family it's, as a psychologist, you'll be blown away by it. But it's a family constellation. It literally
Okay.
is. It talks about constellations in the movie. Kids take on things that don't belong to them. There's a
That's so
perfectionist.
true.
There's the strong one that takes on burdens that don't belong to them. And then there's the generational. There's the excluded one. Have you heard the song "We Don't Talk About Bruno"? You
No,
probably
where have I
heard
been?
the
I have five, well, yeah, well, six now, but grandchildren, and I can't believe I never watched Encanto.
yeah, it's an incredible movie.
Okay,
And
now I'm gonna watch
now
it.
you can see it from this
Yeah,
lens, which
a
will be,
therapeutic
yeah,
lens.
exactly.
Okay.
And so they talk about, they have this uncle, his name is Bruno, and
Mm,
you'll understand the psychological pattern, the archetypes of it. It's like he's the excluded one that could see the future, and like you'll see the whole. And then there's this young girl that's the generational curse breaker, right? And
okay.
she explores where the trauma came from, and I mean it's obviously in a kid's story, so it
Hmm.
has a little bit of a different format, but it's a family constellation. It literally is a
Okay.
family constellation.
Wow.
And there's a book by Mark Wolin
Okay.
called "It Didn't Start with You." Made Oprah's best trauma books of 2023. So pretty popular.
Okay.
There's a series on Netflix called Another Self that is a Turkish soap opera, basically, that is based on a friend of mine. His name is Eric Lopez, the work that he's been doing in Turkey for many years. Um, the podcast, the ZuluOne podcast, all we talk about is family constellations.
Wait,
Yeah.
I didn't even know you had a podcast. Ooh, I'm
Yeah.
such a bad researcher.
Yeah, so we host a family constellation podcast. We talk about family constellations and many different facilitators and people that are involved in the work. Different mode, because family constellation has many flavors. There's
Yeah.
people that do family constellations with horses. There's people that do them. They're called structural constellations. There are people that do it from many different lenses of family constellations. And
Your podcast, is it on every platform?
yeah, Spotify, Amazon,
So it's
YouTube,
called Zulu One Podcast.
ZuluOne podcast. So
Okay.
ZULUONE podcast.
Okay.
And then our website, which is the ZuluOne.org website, has a resources page that's full of resources. And I go as far as finding peer-reviewed papers talking about the benefits
Good.
of family constellations.
Yes, I would love
I
that.
very much back it up with
Okay.
peer-reviewed research. I'm not, just kind of pulling this out of my rear.
Right.
I'm very empirical. I try to be as
So am I.
practical as possible, right?
Yeah.
But there's very emergent research going around the power of family constellations and the effectiveness of the modality, which is very interesting.
Okay.
And also, I have evidence that the United States government has paid for family constellations, which is really cool. Yeah, yeah,
What? Well,
yeah,
we need something.
yeah. We need something,
We need
exactly.
something because
Yeah,
we're so united we stand, divided we fall.
yeah, exactly. And
And
so much of our politics is a mirror of the issues that we have. And part of my mission is to teach as many people as possible about the power of family constellations,
mhm.
because I think that the power of this country comes from our unity, right? And how much grace that we can have with each other, and how much we can hold each other accountable from a place of responsibility rather than a place of accusation,
Yeah.
and detangle from that victim perpetrator narrative that is taken
Yes.
over everything. Everybody's like, I'm a victim, these guys are perpetrators,
Well,
and
it's
it
the
only
othering.
works to, yeah, it
It's
only
the
works to
othering.
separate us. Yeah.
So I think because the evil one wants to have us all divided. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much, and I think
Yeah.
because you've been chosen to use your powers for light and goodness because of who you choose to disciple under.
Yeah.
Me too. Like I
Yeah.
see that, but it's constantly taking a step back and going, okay, Lord, is this coming out of my ego and my flesh, or is this
Mm.
coming out of my spirit and humility? Help me, please. Because I don't ever want to be the same human being I was yesterday.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I don't
Yeah.
ever want to pass on the trauma that was passed on to me generation from generation
Yeah.
because I have a story too, right, John? And
Yeah.
so like, man, I know I could sit and talk to you all for another hour or so, and I might want to have you back. I want to listen to your podcast. I will put everything in the show notes, your website and everything. But is there anything that you would like before we close out to tell the audience or do with us?
Um, Before I say that, there is an article, and you brought up a great point that I wrote on, if I was the devil, how would I use unresolved trauma, right? And it's like, keep people separated, keeps it like, it talks about all of the, what we see in modern society.
Where
And
can I find that article?
I'll send you the Substack for it. It's called
Okay.
the Systemic Newsletter. If you search my name on Substack, it shows
Okay.
up, and I have
I just want to put
several.
the link in the show
Yeah,
notes because so people can go to it and click on it.
I'll be happy to do that. But
Thank
we
you.
can close with a guided meditation if you want to do that. We can
Let's
do
do
a
it.
short little guided meditation. We're going to be taking 3 deep breaths and do a little bit of visualization, and then take it from there.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, wrap up with that.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I'll invite you to close your eyes and cross your arms and legs. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. 1 deep breath for your mother. In and out. 1 deep breath for your father. Inhale and exhale. And 1 deep breath for you, past, present, and future. In and out with an ah. And in your mind, bring up mom and dad and say, Mom, Dad, thank you for giving me life. And when you're ready, come back to the space. Start opening your eyes. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Come back.
All right, listener. Don't forget, trust in the Lord, guard your
Yeah.
heart, and renew your mind. Bye. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
And now for the disclaimer to make sure you understand that you are responsible for you. The content provided on the Holistic Counselor podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or mental condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast are my personal opinions and do not represent the views of any professional organizations with which I am affiliated. Call your doctor, 911, or 988 immediately if you have a medical emergency. The Holistic Counselor podcast does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the podcast. Reliance on any information provided by the Holistic Counselor podcast, guests appearing on the podcast at the invitation of the Holistic Counselor podcast, or other listeners to the podcast is solely at your own risk. Confidentiality notice. If you engage with the Holistic Counselor podcast by commenting or posting and are a client, please be aware that you may be revealing information that could compromise your confidentiality. Please remember that disclosing your identity or personal details can be linked to your clinical material. As a therapist, I am bound by confidentiality and will not respond to any disclosures of this type on this podcast. I am committed to upholding the ethics and confidentiality of the therapeutic relationship, which extends to all forms of communication in accordance with the laws and professional guidelines that govern mental health professionals. I want you to know that your privacy is of utmost importance, and you are responsible for protecting it when interacting on this platform or any other public forum. Thank you.